Big Dig will be the last big project. I hope not. I hate to see Boston get ahead of things. I'd like to ask 3 questions tonight in honor of the artists and the planners, in honor of the immigrants who built the Erie Canal, which was nothing less than a circulatory system for the central and eastern part of the United States. And the first question is, what is it to be re-inspired? That's, after all, the name of the exhibition. And secondly, what is it to be a disciple of experience? That's Leonardo's words. That was the title of his self-portrait. It was also the salutation he used for many of his works, the disciple of experience. And the third was, what role did Leonardo have in the mitered canal lock? That was fundamental to the success of the Erie, Panama, and all other world canals. So first one, what is to be re-inspired? If you look at the Oxford English Dictionary, which is where I always start when I look at anything, inspiration is to breathe in, to inspire. Wonderful that the word comes from something as fundamental as our inspiration, our breath, as contrasted with expire, which of course means to exhale, or maybe even to exhale for the last time. Inspiration can also mean to breathe life into someone. And there are lots of quotes from literature you can find there, but just to kind of embody, to inspire life or stimulus into a figure. Kind of like the way that Dennis did with Leonardo. In fact, I've got a wonderful picture when Leonardo was early in the process, where Leonardo was hanging, and he's down to about his waist or so, on the left of the frame, hanging in Dennis' studio. And Dennis is over on the right, working at the workbench, and it's almost as though the art is directing and inspiring the artist and not vice versa. It's my favorite shot of those early shots.
A lot of truth to it.
Yeah, and it very much seems to be an interplay between the two. So then to be re-inspired then is to be reborn. Rebirth, re-inspiration, well, that's Renaissance. These artists have navigated their way through the Erie Canal and back to the Italian Renaissance, which brings us here to the Italian Cultural Center this evening. Second question, what is it to be a disciple of experience? Leonardo said, art is the queen of all sciences, communicating knowledge to all the generations of the world. And here we're receiving a communication directly from Leonardo with that. Art as a science, not distinct from science. Art is part of the empirical world. Art is communication, the discipline of experience and the discipline of inspiration in Leonardo's mind are inseparable. He was a disciple of both art and science. In question 3, what role did Leonardo have in the mitered canal lock? We think he invented it. It's a little hard to tell. He definitely documented it first. We see evidence of that in the Codex Atlantico in Milan. Leonardo's 1497 drawing shows the detailed doors that close like this, not the ones that used to close like this, which means the water forces the doors closed. They're mitered, facing upstream. And it was an innovation and a change. He also worked out all the other details, like a small portcullis door that would allow water to bleed out of the locks to raise and lower the boats, which after all is the purpose of the locks. In the Codex Atlantico, he further wrote, the lock at San Marco is of masonry on piers. The floor of the whole lock rests on a bed of gravel and lime, which, while still soft, was covered with cross beams of green wood, whose heads were buried in the same mortar. The other sides were laid close and spiked. In addition, the cross beams were framed and nailed to the spikes. It seems that he worked out the entire system in its detail, and it seems that his work was then engineered and made practical by an engineer's name was Zonka. So what's the big deal about this particular inspiration? I recently had an opportunity to view much of Leonardo's work on a bit of a quest, and I have to add, this is pre-Da Vinci Code quest. His popularization actually has made distinguishing the reality and the myth very difficult, because there's a lot of stuff out there that gets quoted and decoded, and bounces around the web. So while holding on to many of his drawings, I found myself thinking about, of all things, luggage. I thought about all the years ago, when I drove by car to airports, then carried heavy luggage around, airport to airport, town to town, having just gotten out of a four-wheel vehicle, never having put together the wheels in the car and the luggage that I was lugging around. I was, in other words, not inspired. In retrospect, by something that was obvious. I was not a disciple of experience. I was at the mercy of experience, as most of us, I think, are. At times, almost to the point of expiration. By contrast, Leonardo had an uncanny ability to both see what was before him, like the flight of a bird, the, quote, sweet death of a man due to hardening of the arteries, the movement of water, the curls in a woman's hair, and then to imagine, to be inspired by what could be. Unlike me with my luggage, he saw what was not before him as well as what was. Man flight, for example, mitered canal gates. He was a disciple of experience and of imagination and of inspiration. He wrote that all our knowledge has its origins in our perceptions. That's the big deal of this invention, which is one of thousands that Leonardo conceived. I suspect that he saw what could be because he saw so clearly what was.
I too remember those luggages. And actually had someone make wheels for me.
You did?
It worked very well. But then they started to come out. Of course, today everybody has wheels. It's all like nothing. How did they build the Egyptian pyramids? That was impossible. We have a little time. If you'd like, we could have our speakers answer some questions. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
Basically, what he invented was gates which went like this, and the pressure of the water helped keep them closed, right? But didn't that pressure of the water make it very difficult to open?
Ah, there's an answer for you.
Well, you open the other one and reducing the pressure with